Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again, and today I want to show you guys how to install Ubuntu-mate and run Ubuntu-mate 16.04 from your USB drive on your Raspberry Pi 2 or your Raspberry Pi 3. Now, the performance increase from going from my SD card to my USB drive was amazing. It feels like a whole new machine. And the stability is amazing with it. So I've been trying to do this for at least a year, and I've never been able to successfully get this to work correctly. I had a viewer explain it to me. He actually wrote step for step in the comment section on a video I made about installing Ubuntu-mate 16.04. And he explained it to me. I went back to my computer. I did the steps, and it works amazing. So I'm going to share this with you because he shared it with me. I got permission from him. It's Marshall Akers Jr. was my viewer who told me how to do this, and he is awesome for letting me know because I have scoured the internet, and every tutorial I have found, something went wrong and it just didn't work. This is easy. It's really, really simple to get this done. If you've installed Ubuntu-mate, running it from your SD card, you will probably be able to do this from your USB easily. I have a text file down below in the description that you can download from my Dropbox, and it is step for step everything you need to know and everything you need to do to get this running from your USB drive. You still need an SD card because the Raspberry Pi doesn't have a traditional BIOS and we can't tell it to boot from the USB automatically. So you can use a small SD card, a slow SD card will work. And the USB drive needs to be pretty quick to see a increase in performance. So what I have here is a SanDisk 64 gigabyte USB 3.0. It's a SanDisk Ultra USB 3.0, and it makes the world of difference running it in Ubuntu-mate. Let's get started here. First thing you're going to need is Win32 Disk Imager. The link is in the description. I always download SD card formatter just in case something goes wrong and I need to reformat my SD card or my USB drive. And you're going to need the Ubuntu-mate 16.04 image. All those links are in the description. If you need help downloading them, if you can't find it, let me know in the comments and I will guide you through. So first thing we're going to do is install Ubuntu-mate to our USB drive. So my USB drive, I renamed it USB 64 gigabyte, and it is in drive I. Make sure you remember which drive you have your SD card or your USB drive. I'm going to open Win32 Disk Imager. And from here, just make sure my I, which is my USB drive, is chosen in the device area. We're going to click on the blue folder icon and navigate to where you downloaded and extracted your Ubuntu-mate 16.04 disk image file. Just double click on this. And I'm going to write it to the USB drive. Now this could take a while depending on the speed of your USB drive. So I'm going to fast forward this for you. Yes. So the write was successful. We flashed the image to the USB drive. We now need to open up the USB drive that we just flashed to. It should now be named pi_boot. I'm going to snap it to the side here. I'm going to insert my SD card reader with the SD card that I'm going to use. So my SD card is a 16 gigabyte. You can use a smaller one if you'd like, but we need to rename SD card, and we're going to rename it to pi, all capital, underscore, boot. Now, note the drive letter here. This is my SD card. This is my USB drive. So I'm going to take all of the files and the overlays folder from the USB drive that I flashed and copy them to my SD card. So now that I have everything from my flashed USB drive copied to my SD card, I'm going to close my SD card, or my USB drive, sorry. We're going to go into the SD card that we just copied all the files to and open up our CMD line, our command line. Right click. I recommend using Notepad++. It organizes everything. I will leave a link in the description. You can use your regular notepad, but stuff may be jumbled up and garbled, and it's just hard to navigate to where you need to go. So here is my config text. So here's my CMD line from the SD card. We just want to go right over to where it says dev/mmcblk0p2 and change the mmcblk0p2. We want to change it to SDA2. File, save. So now that you have changed the line on the SD card, we are going to the Raspberry Pi now. We're going to insert the SD card into the Raspberry Pi and the USB drive that we flashed Ubuntu-mate to. You need both the USB drive and the SD card in the Raspberry Pi. So I have the USB stick I just created and the SD card inserted into the Raspberry Pi. We are going to install Ubuntu-mate like normal, so just follow your on-screen prompts. After it is done installing, it will reboot, and we'll be ready to get into terminal and make our USB stick bootable. We'll have way faster write speeds, and it's so worth it, guys. The stability is amazing. Just follow along with the on-screen prompts to install Ubuntu-mate. Set up your language, your location, your keyboard, your name, and password. Okay, so your Ubuntu-mate is now installed. It's running from the SD card now, but we're going to make it run from the USB drive. We can get a lot faster read and write speeds from the USB drive, and it is way more stable. I use this, I had it on all night from yesterday about 5 o'clock till this morning on another install that I did, and it was really fast, and I had no problems. It just stayed on, and I actually was able to use GIMP image editing software that you can download, and it was really fast. I was very surprised. I was actually working with a 4,000 by 4,000 canvas sheet and just trying to see if I could freeze it up, and it just kept going. I mean, I put 17 layers, and it felt amazing. So let's get started here. We have a couple things we need to do. We need to go to Applications, System Tools, Mate Terminal. And from here, there's a couple things we have to finish up before we can start running from the USB drive. We're going to type in sudo fdisk space /dev/sda. Type in the password you set up Ubuntu-mate with. Press enter. Now we're in the disk utility built into Ubuntu-mate. From here, press P for partition, enter. D for delete, press enter. 2 for the second partition, enter. N for new partition. P for primary. 2, enter. Now here, if you look back at the /dev/sda2, the start, mine starts with 133120. So whatever this says here, you need to type it in right here. 133120. Enter. Press enter again. Press W. Enter. From here we need to reboot. We can just type in sudo reboot, or you can go to the top right hand corner and reboot from there. So now that we're rebooted again, we need to resize our file system. So we'll go to Applications, System Tools, Mate Terminal, and we'll just type in sudo resize 2fs space /dev/sda2. It will prompt you for your password. Put your password in and press enter. So we resized our USB drive. Let's make sure by typing in df space h, enter. Now we can see our dev root, 58 gigabytes, used 3.5, available 54. I have a 64 gigabyte USB drive, so this seems correct to me. One more thing, in order to make this work, sudo space nano space /etc /fstab. Press enter. Now from within here, you need to use your arrow keys to navigate. Where it says mmcblk0p2, we want to delete this line, and we just want to change it to SDA2. Control X, Y for yes, and enter. Now, if you'd like to reboot, you can. I'm going to reboot one more time. So I'll just type in sudo reboot. And we are now running from our USB drive. Everything's going to be faster, from loading apps to loading web pages. This is because the USB drive that I'm using is much faster than my SD card, and they're relatively cheaper and they last longer. The SD card, I've heard rumors that they have a limited number of writes before the SD card is destroyed. I know now that you can go out and buy a really fast SD card, but I picked up my SanDisk Ultra 64 gigabyte USB drive for $7.99 at Best Buy. It was a few weeks ago. They were on sale. They go on sale a lot, and it's a pretty fast USB drive. So, but if you want to test your speeds, applications, accessories, disks, so I have an average read of 36 and an average write of 15.9 megabytes. I'll close this. System tools, Mate system monitor, file system. We have our boot, which is our SD card. Now this can be a smaller SD card. And I have my dev root, which is my 64 gigabyte SD or USB drive. So yeah, everything is faster. Let's see here. Let me download a few applications. We go to welcome, or the software will work. I'll need to connect to the internet to do this. I'll be right back. I'll be connected to the internet and I'll show you some speed. I just wanted to show you guys how fast everything loads now. I just installed GIMP. I rebooted my system. I set up my Wi-Fi. If you have Bluetooth, you can set up your Bluetooth also, because 16.04 supports Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on the Raspberry Pi 3. Applications, games, Minecraft Pi, and Create World. And if you've ever used Minecraft Pi, you know how long this can take. Building a terrain takes forever on an SD card. But we are already in, ready to play. I will exit out of here, and I'll load GIMP for the first time, which GIMP image editor, I used to use it before I was able to get Photoshop, and I used it on my PC, and it took forever to load. So we're going to load it now. I just remember sitting there like, please hurry up and start, hurry up and start. On my Windows machine, which back then it had a 3 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, and it still took forever to load. As you can see, everything's very smooth. Quit, discard changes. I'll go ahead and open up Firefox. So that's it, guys. This is the best way to run your Ubuntu-mate on the Raspberry Pi 2 or the Raspberry Pi 3. Run it from a USB drive. They're super cheap, and you can get a really small 64 gigabyte for very inexpensive from Best Buy or Amazon. Just make sure it's got a good, fast write and read speed, and you should be fine. One thing I did notice was if I insert another USB drive into my Raspberry Pi and then reboot, I get an error. That tells me that it can't boot. All you need to do is, when you reboot your Raspberry Pi, just make sure the only USB stick in the Pi is the one you're booting from. Super simple, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. And thanks to one of my viewers who gave me this tutorial. He is awesome. I want to say thank you. very much because I've been trying to do this for a long time and I haven't been able to, and the performance increase is amazing. Next video, guys, I'll show you how to overclock the Raspberry Pi 3 running Ubuntu-mate so you can squeeze a little extra juice out of this. If you have any comments, leave them down below or send me a private message. If you have any requests, let me know. And like always, thanks for watching.